So you just heard from Dr. O about why academic promotion is important. I'm just going to talk a little bit about when to start preparing for this, and that's going to be as early as possible. And just to quickly introduce myself, I'm a resident out of the New York City area at Staten Island University Hospital. And we're going to focus on how to craft your scholarly identity and your academic brands. And so I am going to be focusing on this paper out of Canada by Cristancho and Varpio that focuses on tips for early career medical educators. And instead of going through all the tips, I'm just going to focus on a few that deal with finding your mission, your academic brand, and your scholarly identity. And this is going to be especially important for junior educators as you progress throughout your career. And so tip 1 in the paper is to articulate your area of interest. So ask yourself the following question, like what kind of career do I want to have? What do I want to focus on? Where do my interests lie? And realize that this is more of a focusing lens rather than a constraint. This is something that will change over time. This is a dynamic process. But by knowing the answer to this question earlier on, as you're presented with different opportunities, you can use this to kind of figure out if it fits in with your larger career goal. And as you build up your academic brand, it's going to be important, especially as an early career educator, to learn how to say no to things just to avoid spreading yourself too thin. Taking on too many things may confuse people, may create this inconsistent picture of yourself. So earlier on in residency, I was on a project that wasn't really something I was super excited about, wasn't something I was super interested in. And writing the whole paper felt a little bit painful. It was a little bit difficult, and even when it went through to publication, I wasn't really excited about it. And so I feel like earlier on, you may not have the luxury to say no to things, but as you progress throughout your career, you can be a little more selective as to what projects you want to take on and pursue. And so one of the tips also in the paper is to create your 5-year plan. So having a defined interest is great, but you need to have some sort of concrete action plans to use to pursue those interests. So the paper talks about like writing down a long-term vision of your career and then dividing that vision into 5 main goals. Treat each goal as a project, create milestones for yourself, timelines to complete that project. And you should revisit this every 4 to 6 months or so just to make sure you're meeting those milestones. Okay, and also when creating your 5-year plan, you can use the SMART goals framework. This is pretty well known in like the business world, the marketing world, just so you can have some way to like feasibly achieve your goals. So you want your goal to be specific, also something that you can measure, and then something that's going to be like feasible, attainable for you to achieve, something that's going to be relevant to your overall career goal, and then something that could be feasibly obtained or feasibly attained within some certain time frame that you have for yourself, just given constraints that you may have in your career and your day-to-day responsibilities. And so something that I'm not going to really delve too far deep into, the paper talks a lot about mentorship. That's a whole topic in itself, but tips 5 and 6 talk about mentors, and then tip number 6 is how to be a good mentee. So that's something that if you want to go back and read the paper, that is discussed as well. And then tip number 8, this is very important when it comes to creating your scholarly identity, is to craft your elevator pitch. So now that you've come up with your brand, you have your interest in mind, how are you going to deliver that to someone? So this is basically like a 1 to 2 minute mini speech that conveys your interest, kind of your personality within scholarship. So this is something that you may have multiple elevator pitches depending on who you're pitching to, whether it's a potential mentor, a research advisor, or boss. And it's really important to practice this. So I sat on a master chat like several months ago where we kind of learned how to deliver and create this pitch. And I realized in doing this, it was pretty tough. This was something that I hadn't really practiced before. This was also something that I didn't really make succinct and digestible. So you want to make sure you practice this. So when you are in that elevator with someone, whether it's at a conference, whether you're just sitting and having a drink with someone, you can really deliver that and be comfortable with it. And tip number 10 in the paper, which is also very important, is building resilience. So now that you've found your area of interest, kind of your scholarly identity, what happens when that goes awry. So you want to make sure you can be resilient from that, change your plans if need be, and you should also have a network of mentors and sponsors so that they can kind of help you along the way so that you don't have to do this alone. And the link and the QR code to the paper is here. Feel free to take a picture of this. Okay. And thank you. Here's my email address and Twitter handle.